Your birthday is coming up. Someone looks at you and asks, "So, what are you doing for your birthday?" And you say the one answer that somehow always confuses people. Nothing, it's just another day. And suddenly, you are the strange one. Your friends think something is wrong. Your family thinks you are being distant. Society acts like if you do not post a smiling photo, blow out candles, and pretend to be thrilled, then something must be broken inside you. But what if nothing is wrong with you? What if you are not cold? What if you are not ungrateful? What if you are actually more self-aware than people realize? Because psychology says there are very different reasons people stop caring about birthdays. And some of those reasons say a lot more about pain, survival, and self-protection than they do about personality. This video is for the people who have ever said, "I do not care about my birthday," and meant it. Or maybe half meant it. Or maybe said it because caring felt too risky. Let's start with the people nobody really talks about. The ones who stopped celebrating not because they chose to, but because life taught them not to expect much. Psychologists have studied something called learned helplessness. When someone goes through repeated disappointment and nothing ever seems to change, the brain eventually stops reaching for the same hope again and again. Not because they are weak, because they are tired. Because at some point, expecting disappointment starts to hurt more than avoiding it. And birthdays? Birthdays can become a yearly reminder of that. Your brain is built around prediction. It is always asking, what should happen next? So when you are younger, you expect the text messages, the surprise, the attention, the people who remember, the feeling of being special. And then, year after year, when those things do not show up the way you hoped, your brain starts adjusting. It stops predicting joy. It stops waiting for the reward. And eventually, you stop caring. Not because you never wanted to care, but because your mind learned that hoping too hard can hurt. So when someone says, "It is just another day," listen closely. That sentence is not always apathy. Sometimes it is armor. Now, not everyone who skips their birthday is hurting. There is another type of person completely. The one who genuinely forgets their own birthday because their brain is already carrying too much. Too many deadlines, too many thoughts, too many responsibilities, too many tabs open in their mind to even notice the date. These people are not rejecting celebration. They are just living in survival mode. The calendar does not feel like a celebration system anymore. It feels like another task they may or may not get to. It is not that they do not care about themselves. It is that they are so mentally overloaded that one day out of the year barely registers. And then there is the third group, the ones who do remember, the ones who are not hurt, the ones who are not overwhelmed. They just honestly do not feel the need to make a big deal out of it. And that is a different kind of psychology too. Some people have learned to stop depending on outside events to feel good about themselves. Psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan wrote a lot about self-determination theory, which basically shows that people feel healthier when their sense of worth comes from within, not from applause, rituals, or attention. In other words, they do not need a birthday to feel valid. They do not need a party to feel seen. They do not need a crowd to feel whole. They have stepped off the treadmill of constantly chasing the next celebration, the next milestone, the next moment of validation. And that is why people do not always understand them. Because when you stop needing external proof that your life matters, it makes other people uncomfortable. It challenges the idea that everyone must want the same things. But not everyone does. Some people are perfectly happy with a quiet day, a normal routine, a little peace, and no performance at all. And then there are the people whose relationship with birthdays goes even deeper. Picture this. You are a kid. You are counting down for weeks. You tell everyone it is coming. You picture the cake, the balloons, the excitement, the one day that is supposed to be yours. And then the day comes, and it is smaller than you imagined. Maybe someone forgot. Maybe someone did not show. Maybe the energy just was not there. Nothing dramatic happened. And that almost makes it worse. Because sometimes the quiet disappointments stay with you longer than the big ones. So the next year, you expect less. And the year after that, even less. Until one day, you are no longer disappointed. You are just detached. That is how a lot of people get here. Not overnight, not by accident, but slowly through repeated emotional self-protection. And there is another layer to this too. Some people do not ignore birthdays because they are free. They ignore birthdays because they are afraid. Afraid that if they want the celebration and it does not happen, it will confirm something painful they already suspect about themselves. So they act like they do not care. Not from confidence, from defense. And that difference matters. Because there is a huge gap between someone who truly does not need the party and someone who wants it deeply, but has learned not to admit that out loud. So maybe the real question is not, why do you not celebrate? Maybe the real question is, what did life teach you about being seen? And that is why people judge too fast. They assume birthday celebration equals emotional health. They assume not celebrating means something is broken. But human beings are not that simple. For some, skipping the birthday is a sign of peace. For some, it is a sign of exhaustion. For some, it is a sign of healing. And for some, it is a sign of wounds nobody ever saw. So if this video feels uncomfortably accurate, ask yourself one honest question. Is this freedom, or is this fear? Because your answer tells a story. And maybe the deepest truth here is this. You do not need a party to prove that you matter. You do not need candles to make your life real. You do not need a crowd to justify your existence. If your birthday comes and goes quietly, that does not mean you are broken. Maybe it means you are private. Maybe it means you are tired. Maybe it means you have learned to find meaning in places that do not need applause. And if you have ever spent a birthday alone and felt completely fine, that does not make you strange. It makes you one of the people who learned how to be okay in silence. And if this found you at the right time, maybe that was not an accident.